I feel bad for all the people named Bruno. I think I know what they're going to be putting up with for the foreseeable future. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainely Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about Pixar's 2021 animated fantasy comedy, Luca. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Luca stars the vocal talents of Jacob Tremblay, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Emma Berman, and was directed by Enrico Casarosa. It tells the story of sea monster Luca, voiced by Jacob Tremblay, who befriends another sea monster as they explore life on land in a small Italian village while hiding their true identities. For me, Pixar is one of the most consistent and reliable studios creating movies today. Some of their films are better than others, but I can always count on them to produce something entertaining, heartfelt, and visually spectacular. Over the last 26 years, Pixar has developed a bit of a niche for themselves, crafting emotional and relatable stories that are enjoyable for both kids and adults. And Luca fits right into that. It has a very familiar feel to it, and is instantly recognizable as Pixar, but still manages to be unique and unlike anything else we've had from the studio. Pixar has been tackling lofty concepts for a long time now. Although perhaps superficially appearing like your average kid-aimed animated films, these movies tend to explore their themes in deeper, more mature ways than you might expect. Over the last 5 years or so, Pixar has gotten especially deep and heavy, dealing with existential themes and the meaning of life, grief and the loss of a parent, death and the afterlife. By comparison, Luca feels like much lighter fare. It still has a lot of heart and some really great themes, which I'll talk about in a minute, but somehow it just doesn't feel as weighty and intense as the typical Pixar film. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It'll probably cause some people to consider this to be a lesser Pixar movie, but by not being an extraordinarily cerebral or profound film, it has the opportunity to just exist and capture the breeziness of a sun-drenched summer movie. Because it isn't going for anything overly deep and isn't trying to create a visual representation of some higher concept, the story is actually pretty straightforward. It's certainly unique and crafts an interesting fantasy-tinged real world, but it's probably not the type of story that'll surprise anybody. It's got a very simple and modest goal for its main character, and the central conflict of the story is equally as basic. Now, that's not to say it isn't an important conflict, thematically speaking, but it is a simple one that lends itself to a fairly predictable set of story beats within this uniquely constructed premise. Now again, that could definitely be viewed as a negative by some people. By comparison to most of Pixar's other films, Luca has a very simple plot that's executed in a fairly simple way. But I think this is one of those movies where the plot isn't necessarily the primary focus. It gives our characters something to work towards, and something for us to rally behind them for, but this movie seems like it's trying to capture a time and a place more than a plot. Technically, the time is summer during the late 50s or early 60s, but really, it's about a particular period of time during childhood, when summer is still that lazy but adventurous time to explore and grow. And the place is Italy, specifically the coastal villages of Cinque Terre in northern Italy. Since this story focuses so much on that specific time during childhood, it's definitely worth mentioning the characters here. As the film name implies, Luca is our main character, and he's so endearing throughout the movie. This is quite literally a fish-out-of-water story, but it's also a coming-of-age story, and Luca undergoes quite the character arc, but never loses his earnest charm, which I think is perhaps best embodied by a moment where he tags himself during a solo attempt of a tag team race. In addition to Luca, we've got Alberto, the self-proclaimed human expert, who, while being a little less endearing than Luca, also undergoes his own emotional arc, and is the primary driving force behind Luca's arc. We've also got Julia to round out the trio of underdogs, her father, Luca's parents and grandma, an easy-to-hate antagonist, and a very suspicious cat. I mentioned before that even though Luca doesn't focus on anything overly complex or deep, it still has some really great and important themes. Luca, as a character, begins the movie as a curious but very self-doubting person. sea monster. And so, in part, this is a movie about overcoming fear, about trying new things, and how important friendship can be for inspiring the confidence to do so. It's a movie about what childhood friendship is, and what it can mean for growing into yourself. And because Luca and Alberto are sea monsters who are hiding their true identity in a village of humans who fear and hate sea monsters, there's an additional thematic layer at play that can be interpreted in all sorts of different ways. It explores the difficulty of feeling like you need to hide your true self for fear of what others might think. It tackles the concept of arbitrary fear-based prejudices and how different generations may be more inclined to accept or reject those prejudices. And it's about acceptance of not only others, but of yourself too. So even though Luca might not be as intellectually stimulating as some of Pixar's other recent output, it still has that classic Pixar heart at its core. The story's certainly simple, and I do think the broader thematic conflict is wrapped up a little too easily, but this is a pleasant escape of a movie. It's not mindless fluff, but it feels like a cozy, cinematic vacation. Director Enrico Casarosa grew up along the coast of Italy and was inspired by his own childhood when making this movie. And it does a great job of capturing the spirit and color and vibrancy of the region. So the plot might not be anything too extravagant, but it's a charming story that really puts you in a specific time and place. The animation does a fantastic job of embodying all of that, and it's one of those films that makes you want to exist in the movie's world. In fact, while you're watching, you're probably going to forget that you don't actually exist there. And once it's over, you're going to be seriously craving some pasta and gelato, you're going to want to go swim in the ocean, and you're probably going to be looking into how much a Vespa costs. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one is the atmosphere, and how well the movie captures its intended time and place. Aside from the whole sea monster thing, this movie feels so real. It feels like you're in the Cinque Terre of Italy. It feels like you're walking down the winding cobblestone streets, looking up at the laundry, drawing on the lines outside of all the multicolored buildings. You can taste the pasta and gelato. You can smell the ocean and hear the kids playing soccer in the streets. Luca makes you feel like you're there, but it also makes you feel like you're a kid experiencing a summer there. No school, no serious obligations, just a summer of exploration, daydreaming, and spending time with your friends. The second pro has gotta be the themes. This movie is not nearly as heavy or thematically dense as some of Pixar's other recent output, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I love the existential stuff they tackle as much as the next person, but this is such a charming, mellow, simple story that it just wouldn't be suited for anything too intense. So the themes are equally as simple, at least on paper. We've got themes surrounding coming of age, like friendship and overcoming fear, but there are also broader themes of prejudice and acceptance and being comfortable truly being yourself. So yeah, they're pretty simple themes, and certainly not anything we haven't seen in a movie before, but they're handled and explored exceptionally well in classic expected Pixar form. On the con side, my only real issue is technically mostly a non-issue for me in the broader scheme of the movie, but the plot is excessively simple. So I say it's mostly a non-issue because, like I said before, the plot itself isn't really the focus of this movie, and it's perfectly fine in its simplicity. The only reason it kinda creeps into the cons a bit for me has to do with the way that it, in turn, oversimplifies some of the themes. I think the friendship elements of the story are handled really well, and given the necessary time to breathe and get fleshed out, but the other thematic elements feel like they're rushed into an overly tidy resolution. It's nice, and a fairly predictable turn of events, but the fast-moving, simple plot doesn't really feel like it earns that sudden and tidy of a resolution. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Luca or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give Luca 4 out of 5 paws. It may not be the most action-packed or thematically intensive Pixar film, but it's a charming and relaxing tale of friendship and acceptance that transports you to coastal Italy and leaves you wishing you could stay there after the credits roll. I would recommend Luca to fans of Pixar or anybody looking for a breezy, summery movie. This film has the heartfelt and comedic core we've come to expect from Pixar, not to mention the breathtaking animation, but it takes a slightly more simple approach to its story than we've become accustomed to as of late, emphasizing experiential atmosphere and characters over plot and ambitious, lofty themes. It's by no means a throwaway film, but it's definitely one that feels light and representative of the relaxing, nostalgic summer it focuses on. If you liked Luca, I would recommend Finding Nemo. It's another wonderful fish-based coming-of-age story from Pixar that focuses on many of the same themes, but spends a bit more time on the parental perspective. If you want another bright, colorful Pixar film that feels like it transports you to a specific region and embeds you in the culture, you should check out Coco. That one takes you to a small Mexican village during Dia de los Muertos, but has a much more complex, plot-driven story. And if you want another coming-of-age movie that really captures the adventure and excitement of a childhood summer with friends, you should watch Stand By Me. It too focuses on a group of friends and has a very simple plot, but with some surprisingly dark elements. Or perhaps unsurprisingly, considering it's a Stephen King story. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Luca? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, what's a movie that makes you really want to visit the location it's set in? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or add it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainely Movies, the way life should be.